QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Bank Feed Center Navigation. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Here we are in our Bank Feeds test file. We currently have the Open Windows open. You can open the Open Windows by going to the View dropdown, selecting the Open Windows list. In a prior presentation, we downloaded some information in a QuickBooks file, QuickBooks type file from the bank data file that we got from an institution, from your banking institution, uploaded them into QuickBooks so we could test out the bank feeds. Now let's take a look at the Bank Feeds Center. Going to the Banking dropdown, we're going to go to the Bank Feeds. Up top, we'll have the Bank Feeds Center. This will only populate if you have connected to the bank account and or uploaded information from the bank account in the QuickBooks type format. It's a QBO type of extension for the data file that you'll get from your bank. So we're going to go into the Bank Feeds Center. I'm going to skip this item here. And here we have it. I'm going to maximize the screen up to the right. Now, the look and feel of this is much different than it was in the prior year. So if you've worked with the bank feeds last year, a lot different look. There's a lot of the similar functionality that you'll have in the current bank feeds, but the look and feel is nicer. It's a lot cleaner looking. You have some data input fields on the face of it that makes it a little bit easier. Looks a little bit more like the online bank feeds, which is good. I think that was a good move. However, there's a lot of blank space up top up here, so I want to mention that again. And just note that if you've zoomed in your screen settings, you might want to zoom them out a little so you can see more transactions down below. In other words, if you go to your settings down here, and I want to go to the display settings, this is actually on the computer, then I have zoomed in my display settings for the presentation purposes here to, and I've zoomed them actually back out to 125. They were on 150, which is over the recommended of 100. So if you have the recommended settings on your computer and you have a pretty decent sized monitor, then you'll probably be okay. If you have zoomed in, if you have bad eyes and you're zoomed in on them, or you're just like seeing big icons, then you might want to zoom out a bit and you can see more of the transactions below. So let's just go over the layout of this. Now we got the banking information up top. Right now we only have one item in the banking information. We have one checking account that has been linked to, that has been set up. We're going to have a little card that will give us an overview of that account and the information. The transactions pending for review here being the 55 transactions. Then up top we have the recognized, partially recognized, unrecognized, and added to the register. So what's going to happen here is we have unrecognized transactions. Basically means that QuickBooks doesn't know what to do with them yet. They've been downloaded from the bank, or they've been gotten from the bank in some way, shape, or form. We uploaded them with a file that we got from the bank here. And QuickBooks has no idea what to do with them, so they are not on the financial statements yet. They're in uncategorized. When you first set up the bank feeds, if you've never done any transactions with the bank feeds, probably all your transactions will be uncategorized unless they match up some transactions or something. They can match it up to like other things that you have entered. Then it'll be uncategorized. If it recognizes it then, and it will recognize it, we'll talk more about that with like rules, then it's going to move over here to the recognized. And that means it might not be approved at this point, meaning it hasn't hit your actual accounts yet. It's not affecting the balance sheet or income statement yet at that point. But the system recognizes it and somehow possibly with a rule, and it'll be a lot easier. You can just approve the rule, and that will give it the go ahead, as opposed to completely unrecognized, meaning the system doesn't have enough data to even record a transaction, even if it can't like even give you a suggestion to record the transaction, because it doesn't know the account. All it knows is there's an increase or decrease to the checking account. Partially recognized would mean that it has some partial recognition, but again, it's still missing some information. It has some information, but not enough to record the transaction. And then added would mean that now it has been added. Now it's going to be affecting your statements. So initially, all of our transactions are going to be in this category. So then let's just go over the layout of this information, and then we'll actually add the transactions one at a time, or expenses, and then we'll go to the deposits. So you have all the way to the right, you have the items that you can select. You can batch select items up top, or you can select them one at a time. And then once you've selected a few items, you can do your actions down here, which is the batch actions, which would be modify, add, or confirm if there's enough data to do so, or ignore, which is basically delete the transactions. You want to be very careful about deleting transactions that you got directly from the bank, because obviously if it cleared the bank, then you'd think it would have to be included unless it's doubled up somehow. If it's doubled up, meaning you've entered it twice somehow, you would think the system would recognize it as matching some other transaction. So you want to be careful about like just deleting a transaction there, but you have the capability to do so. Then we have the sorting. We can sort by any of the headers up top. And if you hit this cog to the right, it'll show you basically the columns that you can show. Now the type was not input, was not there when I started. And I think the type is good to have. So this is going to be the type here, which is deposit or check that we have here. But there's no check number. So possibly I don't even need the check number because I don't have any check numbers down below. And then the memo tab. So I'm going to close that back out. And then we can sort by type over here. And so notice I have the default type of simply checks or deposits. So if you do a sorting in the types area, you're kind of sorting by checks and then deposits. You can line them up in that way. You can line them up by date, which is basically the default. So it'll enter it in there by date. It'll swap the order from least to highest or lowest to highest. And then you have the check number. We don't have any check numbers. I don't have any check numbers here, so no check number here. But if you have the check numbers, you would have them there. There's more electronic transactions in this set of data files. You can sort it by the downloaded as, and also note that you can change the size of the columns by simply dragging in a similar fashion to Microsoft Office or Microsoft Excel. And it's easier to do this. This drag feature is a lot cleaner. I mean, I can get in the middle of that and drag it. It was a little finicky in the old one to get right there to the dragging component. But in any case, you can sort by the description. Now, the description, it may have a lot of information, or it may have some limited information depending on what type of activity you have in the system. So if you have electronic transfers, then it'll typically have a good deal of description, including the name, even if it was a deposit or if it was a payment. You'll typically have a description that could be really helpful for you to then set up the vendors. So then you can set up your vendors, and then you can set up your expense categories. So this works great if you have more electronic kind of transfers. With the checks, it gets a little bit more complex because you might have to look at the canceled check to see the actual transaction that took place, right? You'll have the check number, might not have as much information with the downloaded as information here. And then we have the payee. If it's going to be populated here, no activity in our payee. We have the bank memo, so that you have your bank memo number here, which could be useful to help you to record the transaction as well. And then we have the account. So notice the accounts have not been assigned here because these are the accounts in our system. And QuickBooks doesn't know where to put the account. This is the other side of the transaction. In other words, QuickBooks knows that there's going to be an increase or decrease to the checking account. That's what this is saying. That's what we got from this information. But it doesn't know what other account is going to be affected here. So that's what we kind of have to assign. And it's nice that we don't have to basically go into the transaction detail to assign another account. I can do it right here on the face of the account. And then we have the payment and the deposit, increase or decrease basically to the checking account. And then we have either add, if we have enough information to add it. If we do not, and I try to hit add here, it's going to say, hey, look, I can't add that because I don't have enough information to do so. But we can hit then the drop down. If I hit the drop down to the right, then we have add more details, match to existing transactions. So if there were an existing transaction that you are matching to, either a double up of a transaction, or if this is going to complete a process. For example, there's been, you entered a bill and now you have a check that's going to be clearing the bill. We'll talk more about that in the future. Then you could have this match or ignore, which is basically, again, delete. You want to be careful of the deleting item. If you go to add more details, then you get another screen, and right up top, it has the transaction from the bank. So you got the match status, which is unrecognized, doesn't have anything to match it up to, the date, the downloaded as, which is going to give you the information from that are from it, including possibly the vendor, and then the amount here, that's what it was downloaded as, and then you can change things down below with the date, the memo, and then you could assign the account, and this is going to be the thing that you're going to have to add, and if you just need the account, you could do so here in this screen, so you don't even need to go into this other screen to do that, which could save a lot of time. And then if there's a customer or job, you can assign that here. The memo, you can even assign whether it be billable or not right here. And again, that's really nice. It would be kind of nice if they had that, in this window, so you didn't have to go in here. But again, you can assign it as billable or not, and that's really nice. So I'm going to close that back up. You can also search for information up top. So, and this field could be if you have a whole lot of data and you're trying to figure out, a certain vendor or a certain customer, then you could sort like this way and sort by vendor in alphabetical order. That can help a little bit, and or you can then populate this information like EDI or something like that, and then search for that, and then you can find pieces even within the text of it. So that search field can be useful. We then have the cog to the right, which, like we said, we can remove rows. So the memo row, the check row wasn't helping us, so I can remove the check row right there. I like to have them all populated because if your screen's large enough, I think it's useful to have them all populated. And then you have the filter here, and you can filter by type. So check or deposit here. So if I just click on the checks, so now we have all the checks or the decreases. If I click on the deposits and remove the checks, then I've got all the increases. Now, note that if you filter it, say by check here, and then I click off of it, I clear this, then I have it filtered by just the payments, no deposits, and that's great. But then if you adjust the ordering, such as I adjust the ordering, all the deposits then pop back into place. So the filters can still be a little bit finicky. They can still kind of be a little like they can pop off if you start to sort the data. So when you add the filter, you might be limited to the sorting options here. Hopefully they'll adjust that. This is still early in the year that they have this new kind of layout, but so that it works pretty good. It works pretty good. So then we have that and the filters. So we have filter by check, and then we can have the dates that we can filter by as well. And if we're doing like a whole year's worth of data, you might want to filter this like by month information, and then enter that information on a month by month basis. So that's kind of the overview. So next time we'll start to enter transactions, and when we start to enter transactions, it'll take it out of this section, which I call like bank feed limbo, and then it'll add them to the actual books, and we'll start to create our accounting system, or we'll start to create our financial statements with our accounting system with the use of bank feeds in that system.